A glimpse into chaos, the current state of Ukraine and Europe. Imagine witnessing a nation on the edge, caught between hope and despair, as murmurs of impending mobilization fill the air. In Ukraine, the specter of a new wave of reinforcements looms ominously. Citizens brace themselves as details emerge from the territorial defense centers, where enlistment numbers surge. President Zelensky, backed by relentless international support, faces mounting pressure from leaders and citizens alike, yet shadows of corruption entwine with promises of renewal. With border tensions rising and NATO strategizing behind closed doors, whispers of a looming sacrifice echo in conversations around the flickering flames of a dying campfire. The rhythm of uncertainty tempts fate, and voices in Europe grow weary, some hinting at capitulation. How long can an ember of resistance remain alight when the weight of reality presses ever down? As Zelensky clarifies intentions, discouraging words from military leaders hint that the hope of securing cities may already be slipping through grasping hands. Towns like Pokrovsky face bleak futures, while the government's filtered optimism clashes with the stark realities faced by the people. Imagine the sound of silence, punctuated only by the distant wails of what remains, lives uprooted, destinies altered. But there's a twist. Amid this chaos, a persistent narrative emerges from the international stage as the European Union's support seems to take on a life of its own. Numbers flash across the screen, showing over 90% approval from Swedes for backing Ukraine. But at what cost? Beneath the surface, discussions about social debts, economic stability, and the tide of migration fill the air, drowning out the fervor of unyielding support. How real is the commitment when so much remains unspoken? In a world captivated by spectacle, some voices reduce solidarity to a mere statistic, while the fabric of resolute action begins to fray. Leaders appear to revel in the sound bites, trumpeting hollow victories that barely mask an unsettling truth. As the minister's promises echo in public forums, the air becomes thick with anticipation. What lies beneath these proclamations? Are they a reflection of genuine resolve or simply an echo of expectation that drowns out the cries for urgent action? Within Ukraine, life trudges on amidst uncertainty. Citizens cling to the belief that change is on the horizon while facing the mundane grind of their existence. The promise of rejuvenation often feels like a distant mirage, whispering sweetly but never arriving. How long before reality catches up with the hopeful illusion woven by the loud proclamations of politicians? So, as shadows stretch longer and the daily ebb and flow of life carries on, one must question, when the temporary triumph fades, what will remain? In the heart of a nation torn apart, a grim reality unfolds. As the world watches, Ukraine faces a dark patriarch, a sacrifice of lives at the hands of an indifferent command. Pictures and presentations, glaring under the spotlight, conceal tales of despair. Beyond the glitz of press conferences, soldiers' lives hang by a thread, caught between the spectacle of government's triumphs and the stark truth of their perilous existence. Every new announcement rings hollow, reverberating with empty promises. The battlefront remains silent, scarred by the unseen attacks, a deadly game where discipline is prioritized over lives. A haunting image emerges, a battlefield devoid of hope, where bravery is exhibited under the watchful cameras, yet in the shadows, despair fester. What worth is a grand narrative when the very essence of humanity is sacrificed for mere appearances? Through a vivid prism of lies, what is real crumbles to dust. Each battle is not just a clash of weapons, but a tragic dance of fate, where those in power orchestrate a grim performance. The soldiers, valued as pawns, feel abandoned, left to grapple with the bitter truth that displays can't change their dire reality. Amidst the cacophony, one figure calls out to the silence, the voice of the common soldier, overshadowed by political theatrics. Caught in a dissonance, they grapple with their own mortality while the state seems focused on maintaining a facade. How many more must pay the price for a charade that only enriches those who stand at a distance? Each tragic episode only leads back to one bitter realization: when the line between reality and performance blurs, lives become collateral. But wait, what if the very machinery meant to protect ends up sealing their fate? As reports flood in touting victories, one voice falls silent. What will it take for the truth of this devastation to shine through the murky propaganda? In the shadow of destruction, hope flickers like a candle in the wind, a fragile entity battling the storm of misinformation as the clock ticks down toward an uncertain future. The urgency to act grows stronger, but will it make a difference before it's too late? In a turbulent world, the ongoing war dims hope for many, as reality collides with the facade portrayed by those in power. Citizens feel increasingly abandoned, left to grapple with the harsh truths of conflict. Amid this chaos, the government perpetuates a narrative of mobilization and trust. Yet, trust cannot be quantified, it remains an intangible feeling, often ignored in official proclamations. As despair sets in, only sarcasm emerges as a coping mechanism. Laughter becomes easier than tears, a shield against the overwhelming pain and loss. Cynicism has woven its way into the fabric of politics, as those in power turn away from the suffering of their citizens. The true essence of war is not captured in parades or hollow celebrations. It's a grim reality of anguish, coldness, and death that lingers in the shadows. Victory is not marked by banners or hollow words, it lies in the quiet understanding that the spectacle must end. Reality, however painful, is where the truth resides. Those who dare to confront it, who know that this is no mere drama, will find that the heavy weight of loss and sacrifice paints a stark picture. Each moment passes, and with it, the remnants of hope struggle to survive. It's vital to recognize the harsh truths lingering in the silence. The absurdities around us seem almost surreal, as we navigate a world where laughter often masks hidden sorrow. Beneath the surface, many yearn for honesty, raw and unfiltered. In a landscape filled with pretense, where light-hearted comments seem trivial, the urgent need for sincerity grows louder. The war's chaos has birthed a paradox: as cynicism thrives, so too does a desire for authenticity. The fight isn't an entertainment piece but an unyielding struggle against crushing despair. For those still clinging to memories of better days or a hope for peace, the quest for genuine understanding becomes paramount. In this landscape filled with irony, it's essential to confront the reality of our days. As shadows of uncertainty loom, it's crucial to seek out the truths buried within the chaos. Only when the facade crumbles can we truly understand the weight of the conflict, and what it means for our shared future. So, as we navigate these times, let's remember the importance of facing reality. Don't just watch the spectacle unfold, engage with the truth, however uncomfortable it may be. The path ahead is fraught with challenges, but perhaps it's in facing them head-on that we discover our resilience. Let us attentively listen, for in this world of illusions, the truth remains our most valuable asset. As shocking debates unfold over waning support, vanishing like evaporated mist on a sunlit riverbank, can Ukraine's mobilization truly flip the script? Nardep Garbenko's bombshell reveals a full Ukrainian database now linked into one unified security network, promising precision calls for service. Yet, peering into 2025's automated military assessments, a surge in enlistment parties looms. Officials hail it as peak efficiency. But efficiency for whom, when half the nation has fled, served, or vanished into shadows? Picture it, like a labyrinthine tax audit gone wrong: first they count you, now they count all of us. One database stands firm, but tangible citizens dwindle, mobilization dwindling from shepherd-like scarcity. Still, leaders cling to tech illusions, solving the crisis with mere automation wizardry. They vow three measures: battling corruption, tightening TCC reins. Gorgeous on paper, a melodic promise of renewal. Especially ignoring 3 decades of grappling with graft, evasion, hollow idealism, no true bite. But war, they whisper, will transform this landscape forever. Amplify the sting: how many schemes erupted, only to endure eternal, mocking eternity. Power elites revel, forgetting the forgotten masses. And let's not forget dollars vanishing. Feel the dread: men maimed in TCC corridors, limbs severed by botched exams, amputations, perforations, 7-fold failures echoing like a cruel joke. Against this bloodied backdrop, officials preach mobilizing trust anew. Trust in what? A system slaughtering souls, forging fates in ink. Disasters panned as prophets? Rhetorical truth: how to ignite faith in this inferno. Absurd fictions resurface, reforms paraded as triumphs, speeches dictating family rules. Lives answered in hollow replies. A parallel realm emerges, where reality twists, and illusions reign supreme. Leaders float in denial, blind to the abyss. What cataclysmic twist hides in their blind optimism? Can the nation awaken before it's devoured whole? Feel the cold sweat of betrayal, the acrid smell of deceit hanging heavy in the air. The crunch of paper underfoot masking screams of the unseen. Will this facade shatter, or drag everyone deeper? In our last segment, we uncovered how Ukraine's leaders dwell in a parallel universe, where self-written reports hail every reformist triumph, and every speech echoes like an unchallengeable command from on high. Can you believe that in Kiev, even the most trivial achievements get spun into epic sagas of glory, turning everyday events into weapons of propaganda? That's right, Kiev itself is hailed as a non-stop promotional spectacle. The Ukrainian language? A flashy ad campaign. A flamingo soaring over a lake? Why, it's painted as a massive win, a glimmering trophy in the war of perceptions, even though it's just a bird flapping lazily toward the water, its pink feathers catching the sun like discarded confetti. But here's the sickening twist: propaganda isn't just a tactic anymore, it's seeped into the very fabric of life, a pulsating vein of absurdity keeping the masses in thrall. And now, brace yourselves for another round of this twisted theater, the Rocket Project, draped in the same glittery veil of hype. It launched as a ribbon of hope, a missile of promise slicing through the smog-choked sky. But hold on, the fuel factory meant to fuel this mechanical beast? Ground to a halt, its gears groaning in futility, leaving the earth beneath it scarred and empty. The industry minister spills the beans in a voice dripping with feigned shock, claiming the setup reeks of shadowy ownership, tarnished reputations, and sleazy business spins. Whispers demand a probe into the enigmatic company Firepint, who lurks in the shadows, siphoning funds into abyssal pockets. The punchline? Almost $1 billion poured in like liquid hopelessness, only for questions to bubble up afterward, too late to dam the flood. You feel that chill, the acrid scent of betrayal clinging to your skin, as if the air turned sour with unspoken lies? It's eerily familiar, echoing the pre-Tool satellite fiasco, that orbital phantom vanishing into the void, teasing drifts around Earth, or maybe nowhere at all. The outcome? A familiar stench, money evaporated, vanishing into ethereal puffs, untouchable whispers of fraud. Expect the usual scapegoat parade, a junior executive swapped out with a flick of paperwork, the minister shrugging it off like a cat dashing through mud, tail drenched and blackened, before rubber stamping the deal anyway. Poof, the funds dissolve into mist. Taxpayers foot the bill, their hard-earned cash swirling down a drain lined with indifference. It's normalized now, this bitter comedy unfolding under the weight of a crushing reality. But wait, the International Monetary Fund swoops in again, vowing aid to Ukraine in a grand facade. Scratch the surface, and it's unvarnished credit, the kind from microloan sharks who snare you with sweet nothings, charging up to 20% interest and crowing about their generosity. Only later does the true sting emerge, repayment in blood money extracted from desperate veins. And shockingly, even this clawing trickle is now hailed as salvation? Will the IMF really block fresh tranches, citing red tape and neighborly vetoes from wary allies? The grand promises evaporate, European budgets balking at the thought of footing endless war bills. It's a farce, the fund pleads empty hands, Ukraine left dangling in the fiscal fog, while Western powers feign blinks of surprise. Can we call this economic rescue when it smells like abandonment? As tensions mount, you wonder, how much longer until the cracks burst open, exposing the rot beneath? What hidden betrayal lingers just out of sight, ready to shatter the illusion? The hum of unanswered pleas grows louder, the metallic tang of fear palpable in every breath, and the abyss waits, yawning wider. Will the next twist reveal a mastermind pulling strings, or is the whole system crumbling into chaos? In our previous segment, we explored the absurd disconnect in Ukraine's leadership, where reports of success ring hollow amid true suffering. Now, even as experts caution that international support is evaporating like morning mist, the reality paints a drastically different picture. Narodny Deputy Garbenko has revealed that the territorial recruitment centers have compiled an extensive database of citizens. This information channels through a unified security system, raising questions about how a nation teetering on the edge of chaos believes automation can restore order by 2025. But can we really trust such promises? One must ponder, who will be conscripted when nearly half the populace has either fled, served, or vanished? Imagine the chilling sensation of uncertainty gripping your chest as outdated databases spit out names of those long gone. It's reminiscent of a cautionary tale, you counted them, and now we're all marked. Yet, this bloated database sits heavily with phantom entries, while the flesh and blood recruits diminish. In a desperate hunt for bodies, the state is rummaging through forgotten corners, like orphanages, to fill gaps. Amidst this chaos, officials unveil 3 ambitious reforms. They vow to eradicate corruption and instill strict oversight over the recruitment process. The charming sweet tones of these promises resemble celebratory champagne bubbles bursting with hope. However, can we overlook the 30 years of corruption, where empty words echoed through hollow halls with no responsibility in sight? The ongoing war acts as the perfect veil, allowing the status quo to persist. How many dreams have crashed like fragile sandcastles under relentless tide? Yet, these decrees appear to withstand scrutiny, surviving wave after wave of scandal. Power holders continue to luxuriate in privilege, seemingly indifferent to the populace's plight. It's not just lives that have been shattered, it's entire fortunes dissipated into thin air. When citizens emerge from the recruitment process, maimed and broken, their suffering is treated as just another statistic. Procedures fail repeatedly, akin to a sick joke whispered in the dark. Amid this bleak reality, politicians chant about restoring faith in mobilization. Trust in what exactly? A bureaucratic machine where lives are reduced to registration numbers, only to be discarded for grim ends? How can anyone mend that trust? It's a revelation that leaves the mind spiraling into despair, for it becomes clear, these leaders dwell in a warped dimension. In this surreal world, self-aggrandizing reports reign, celebrating tweaks in legislation as monumental victories. But here's the shocking twist: could this bureaucratic machinery of mobilization drag everyone into an abyss, leaving no avenue for escape? Or is it merely another illusion poised to crumble under the weight of truth? As the dubious facade of defiance continues to unravel, reality toughens the storm brewing on the horizon. Will the public awaken from this nightmarish dream, or will the docility lead them deeper into despair? In the heart of Ukraine, an impending storm brews. A new wave of mobilization is on the horizon. The Territorial Recruitment Centers, or TCC, now possess a comprehensive list of citizens. Soon, summonses will infiltrate every home, targeting those who remain. Behind the scenes, President Zelensky navigates the waters of support and an army expansion, even as international aid dwindles. Spring looms ominously on the front line, bringing whispers of sacrifice amidst a weary Europe that has run out of both patience and finances. As officials take steps to maintain control, amid rising corruption and new scandals, bizarre absurdities have quickly become the norm. An air of inevitability hangs over the city, a sense that this is only the beginning. The current leadership seems to focus on wielding authority rather than addressing the urgent concerns of its citizens. With every turn of events, the weight of mobilization grows heavier, as those eligible await their fate. But what is this plan that promises safety yet seems to ensnare the innocent? Zelensky speaks on the responsibility of defending certain territories, but even the military voices doubts about their worth. In Pokrovsky, despair casts a long shadow. Will they abandon the city, deemed too precarious to protect? All eyes turn toward Zelensky, awaiting his public declarations and elusive photo ops with military hardware. The tense standoff between hope and hopelessness echoes throughout the region. Meanwhile, NATO's support lingers in the air like a distant fog as they too grapple with their contributions. Analysts speculate that assistance is dissipating, much like morning mist under the sun. Yet, reports emerge from Deputy Garbenko highlighting that the TCC's database of Ukrainians is brimming. However, under the surface, the questions linger: who truly comprises this database? And what happens to those who are missed in this sweeping endeavor? Conflict breeds confusion, leaving many to ponder the actual impact of so-called support. Then, a chilling thought surfaces: what if mobilization efforts only serve to exacerbate the rifts in society, swallowing up the very souls they intend to protect? In this tale of survival, amidst the chaos of war and political struggles, a haunting realization settles in: the fight for survival has become a fight for autonomy, for identity, and for existence itself. As the Josip Dragan Bellissimo from NATO speaks of strategies in euphemistic terms, the battlefield continues to transform, yet the message remains stark. Can one truly trust a system where lives are treated as mere numbers? Thus unfolds the saga of Ukraine, a land at the crossroads of despair and resilience, balancing precariously between survival and surrender, where each day adds another layer to a groundbreaking story of endurance. Will Ukraine rise from the ashes of this conflict, or will it find itself engulfed in the very darkness it strives to escape? Only time will tell the next chapter in this ongoing war. In a land fraught with tension and uncertainty, Ukraine braces for another looming wave of conscription. The mobilization system is ready to call to arms all remaining citizens. With President Zelensky navigating through financial struggles, the military landscape shifts on a whim, as support dwindles and aid seems to vanish overnight. While NATO and European allies express solidarity, whispers of surrender ripple like smoke across the war-torn country. As the tension builds, authorities diligently control the narrative, emphasizing mobilization as a necessary measure amid growing corruption and scandal. The anecdotal voices of the weak echo through the halls of power, depicting a grim scene where hopes of defense hang by a thread. The military leadership reveals a haunting truth: the purpose of defending certain cities has become futile. In Pokrovsky, despair seeps into every corner, leaving citizens to ponder the fate of their homes. There, the urgency to abandon even the smallest settlements looms as instigators look for portrait-perfect moments of political maneuvering. While NATO's support seems unwavering, the reality on the ground tells a different story. The enthusiasm for aid now feels like a distant dream. A jarring report emerges: the Ukrainian Mobilization Center has a comprehensive registry of citizens, effectively tightening the grip on those within its reach. As morning light illuminates a battered landscape, the echoes of hope seem to fade, leaving behind the chilling realization that many have already slipped through the cracks. But amidst the chaos, rumors swirl. Will Zelensky's ambitions for victory take precedence over the lives of the people? The response unfolds further, as fingers point toward strategic outcomes orchestrated within a web of lies. Each official statement promises restoration but begs the question: what trust can be rebuilt when individuals are sacrificed at the altar of convenience? The repetitive sounds of political jargon blend into a melody of disillusionment. Citizens physically bear the weight of bureaucratic failures. As these disheartening truths come to light, what is left for the populace? Are they destined to remain pawns on a chessboard controlled by unseen hands? With cries for restoration of trust echoing in empty rooms, the rising tension fuses with the despair of countless lives intertwined in this relentless struggle. The absurdity of the situation grows more apparent as leaders charm audiences with promises, while the evidence of suffering remains undeniable. The loss of lives is met with indifference, as plush discussions ditch the gravity of reality. As NATO brims with its own contradictions, their narratives seem far removed from the imagery of devastation dominating the news cycle. Does this alliance no longer reflect the cries of a nation under siege? As Europe grows weary of financing warfare, the tranquility of aid appears fleeting. Like a showman unveiling illusions, the narrative presents yet another thrilling spectacle, as the presence of influential figures ushers in an era cloaked in secrecy and hope. But can illusions sustain resolve when the stakes are this high? As Ukraine stands at the precipice of change, the upcoming decisions resonate like the distant sound of a whistle in the night. Will they move toward a hopeful dawn, or will they remain ensnared in the darkness of despair? In the pivotal moments that lie ahead, every hesitation echoes within the fabric of a nation yearning for clarity. Each choice made could determine not only the fate of individuals but also the very soul of a country. With each move, the tension escalates, leaving behind a haunting question: will the resolve of a nation endure against the tide of chaos, or succumbs to the weight of its fragmented hopes?